Hi there. Thanks for joining me for another Tingle Time. And as it's getting to that time of the year, heading towards Christmas, I thought it would be nice to share a Christmas bedtime story together to unwind, to try to get to sleep. It's quite cold here at the moment, so I have these two lovely soft hot water bottles. I have a Christmas book. What to do is pick up the stories for this next Tingle Time. A nice Christmas story to help us relax, maybe get to sleep. Maybe just help you if you're feeling anxious, simply to unwind. Make yourself comfortable. Let's open up Santa's Christmas storybook. See what we can find. here at the front. Nobody enjoys listening to a good Christmas tale better than Santa Claus, but he likes to tell them too. Collected here are 11 of his very favourite stories he has told over and over again to the elves and all the merry people who live and work at the North Pole. Whether you are young, old, or in between, you will come to love the colourful characters on these pages, and you'll be touched by the timeless, wondrous magic of Christmas. Here you'll meet Igod, the ice troll, who wants to kidnap the head toy maker elf and stop Christmas forever, and Squiggly, an impatient elf who learns an important lesson on a wild sleigh ride with Santa. You will join Marco McSweeney, the boy who mails himself to the North Pole, and marvel over his amazing adventures. Among these Christmas tales you'll discover the perfect present, the secret of Christmas tree soup, and much more. With lovely illustrations accompany these heartwarming tales of the way Christmas magic affects everyone. You may find your own favourite stories in Santa's collection. Just have a little flick through. This little bit first, shall we? This is a letter from Santa Claus. As you can probably guess, winter nights at the North Pole are very long indeed, and on such long winter evenings, what could be better than sitting in front of a crackling fire, watching the snowflakes well past the window and listening to a good tale. Naturally, up here at the North Pole, we prefer Christmas stories to any other kind. But over the years, I have been lucky enough to hear many fine tales, some of which I have been a part of. Out of all of them, I have selected 11 of my favourites to be in this book that you now hold in your hands. These are stories that will amaze and delight each and every one of you. I hope you enjoy them as much as we have, for as you know, Christmas belongs to everyone. Happy reading and a very Merry Christmas to one and all. Santa Claus. Step up page. Chosen to read for you this evening. The perfect Christmas present. It's a lovely picture. Okay. Let's begin. Have you decided on a present yet? Meg asked her little brother. Charles Osborne pulled off his mittens and shoved them in his pocket. No, he said. There's lots of stuff here, but nothing perfect. He pronounced the word with extra special care. Charles Osborne had just turned 6, and the word perfect had only recently been added to his vocabulary. Oh, Charles Osborne, there's no such thing as the perfect present. Just choose something. Mum will like it, whatever you get her. Charles Osborne's chin jutted out. No, he said, it has to be perfect. Meg groaned. Well, all right, she said. We'll go and look in the ladies' gloves and scarves department one more time. Charles followed his sister across the main floor of the Saxon's department store. Giant paper cutouts of Santa Claus and his reindeer hung from the ceiling. It was Christmas Eve, the last shopping day before Christmas, Meg reminded him. Meg held up a pair of blue woolen gloves. What about these? She said. Charles shook his head. Too boring. That was another word he had just learned. Then how about one of those plaid scarves? Meg suggested. They're on sale. Her voice sounded impatient. Uh-oh, Charles said. He turned away from the scarves and gloves and glanced over at the jewellery department. There were all kinds of shiny earrings, necklaces and bracelets there, but most of them probably cost too much money. Charles Osborne sighed. Then he spotted it. The perfect present. It was a hat, a wonderful hat. It was hanging from a hook against the wall of the hat department, a long knitted hat that was made of bright red wool. It looked almost like a Santa Claus hat, but it was even longer than that. It was so long but if Charles Osborne put it on, it would reach all the way to the floor. "There it is!" Charles shouted. "What?" "The perfect present! That hat!" "Okay," Meg grumbled. "You don't have to shout." But she didn't really sound mad. She and Charles marched over to the hat department, and Meg went up to the lady behind the counter. "Can we see that hat, please?" she asked. "How much does it cost?" The lady behind the counter smiled. "Oh, our snow elf hat," she said. "Cute, isn't it? It's $5.50. Charles Osborne frowned. "But I only have $5, he whispered to his sister. "Don't worry," Meg told him. "I'll pay for the rest." A moment later, the wonderful hat was in a bag, and the bag was in Charles Osborne's hand. He felt so happy he thought he would just burst. He kept thinking about how surprised his mother would be when she saw this beautiful red hat. "Hurry up," said Meg. "Dad's picking us up in 15 minutes, and I still want to stop by the sweater department." Okay, Charles Osborne followed his big sister across the store. There were more people here now, so many that Charles Osborne felt a little dizzy looking around at them all. He opened his mouth and yawned. He was starting to feel hot and sleepy. "Oh, hurry up," said Meg. "We don't have much time." Charles followed her past the ladies' coats and the dresses and onto the sweaters. He stood quietly by while Meg tried on a blue turtleneck and then a big yellow pullover. Sweaters were boring, 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 Charles Osborne thought to himself. "Oh no," said Meg. "We were supposed to meet Dad 5 minutes ago." She took Charles Osborne's hand and yanked him towards the door. Meg's legs were longer than his, so when he walked quickly it was hard for him to keep up. "Meg, Charles, over here." Their father was waving at them. It was then that Charles Osborne realized that his hands were empty. The bag holding the precious red hat, his perfect present, was gone. "Where did you leave it?" his father asked him. Charles Osborne thought and thought, but he couldn't remember. "I don't know. I had it 1 minute, and then it was gone." Meg shook her head. "Oh, Charles," she said. Charles swallowed. He was 6 years old now, and too big to cry about every little thing, but this wasn't a little thing. He followed his father and Meg to all the places they had been. They asked at the jewellery counter and in the sweater department if anyone had seen a bag with a red hat in it, but no one had. They even went back to the lady at the hat counter and asked if anyone had turned in the bag with the wonderful red hat in it, but no one had. "Now I don't have anything to give to Mum for Christmas," declared Charles Osborne. "Don't worry," said his father. "Your mother will understand. Anyway, I bought her 2 presents. You can give her one of those if you like." "That's okay," Charles said. "Maybe you can make her something," Meg suggested. "Like what?" he asked, but no one answered. "What's the matter, Charles Osborne?" his mother asked him that night at dinner. "It's Christmas Eve, and you're not even smiling." "Oh, nothing," Charles said. He looked at his father and at Meg. He had made them the promise not to tell his mother what had happened. "If you tell Mum I lost her perfect present, I will never talk to you again," he had told them. After dinner, Charles Osborne went straight up to his room and flopped down on his bed. Meg knocked on his door. "Don't you want to come and help to decorate the tree?" she said. "No," said Charles Osborne. His mother knocked on his door. "Don't you want to come and help make the Christmas cookies for Santa?" she said. "No," said Charles Osborne. His father knocked on the door. "Hey, Charles, come on downstairs," he said. "No one is having any fun without you." "Just leave me alone, please," said Charles Osborne, and he put his pillow over his head. All he could think about was the wonderful red hat. How could he have found the perfect Christmas present and then lost it? Now, not only did he not have the perfect present for his mother, he didn't have any present for her, and he had to do something, and something fast. But what? Make something, Meg had said, but what could he make? Charles Osborne looked around his room. In the corner he spotted the big pad of paper and watercolour paints his mother had given him for his birthday. Suddenly Charles Osborne had an idea, and he fetched a glass of water from the bathroom. He tore a sheet of paper from the pad and opened the new box of paints. He dipped his brush in the water and started to paint. Charles painted Saxon's department store just as it had been when he and Meg had gone shopping for the perfect present. He painted the cut-out Santa Clauses and the reindeer and all the people shopping for Christmas presents. He even painted Meg trying on the big yellow pullover. And in the middle, he painted himself wearing the wonderful red hat, and at the bottom of the picture he wrote, "The perfect present which I lost. Sorry, Mum, but Merry Christmas, love, C.O." Then he put down his brush. His picture wasn't perfect. Charles Osborne accidentally smudged Meg's hair with his elbow, and when he painted himself, the brush was too wet, so his eyes ran into his mouth. But in the picture, the red hat looked every bit as wonderful as he had remembered it. Charles yawned. "I'll lie down here on the bed for just a minute," he thought sleepily. "Then I'll wash my face and brush my teeth and put on my pyjamas." The next thing he knew, someone was shaking him awake, and it was Meg. "Wake up, Charles Osborne," she said. "It's Christmas morning. Come see what Santa Claus brought you." Charles opened his eyes and looked around. Someone had put on his pyjamas and had tucked him in, but the picture he had painted for his mother was right where he had left it. Charles Osborne smiled. "Coming," he said, and he stood up, picked up his picture, and followed Meg downstairs. His father and mother were already there, and under the tree was a huge pile of presents. "Good morning, Charles Osborne," his mother said. "What's that you've got there?" Charles held the picture out to her. "It's your Christmas present," he explained. "It's not a real present, but I lost your real present, so I made you this instead." His mother took the picture and held it up. "Well, thank you, Charles Osborne," she said. "It's—" But before she could finish, Meg said, "I have a surprise for you, Charles." She pulled something out from behind her back. It was the bag with the wonderful red hat in it. Ta-da! You found it! You found it! Charles Osborne shouted. I didn't, Meg replied. The lady from the hat department did, though. Someone turned it in right after we had left. And she brought it over last night. I would have told you, but you were fast asleep. She smiled at Charles Osborne, and Charles Osborne smiled back. He gave the bag to his mother. Here, he told her, here's your real present. I would have wrapped it, but... That's okay, said his mother, and she lifted the red hat out of the bag and put it on. Oh my! Do you like it? I love it. It's perfect. The perfect present. Charles Osborne's mother grinned. But I like your picture of your perfect present even better, she said. In fact, your picture is the most wonderful, beautiful, perfect Christmas present anyone ever gave me. It is? Said Charles Osborne. Yes, it is, his mother said. But why? Oh, said his mother, taking him on her knee and hugging him. Just because. Charles Osborne knew she was telling the truth because his mother never told lies. Besides, she hung his picture up over the couch where everyone could look at it, and when visitors asked her about it, she told them it was the perfect start to a perfect Christmas. And it was. Yeah. Hope you enjoy this lovely Christmas bedtime tale. And I hope I get a chance again to read another one of these delightful stories, Santa's Christmas storybook. Thank you very much for joining me. And if you've enjoyed this video, this story, and you don't want to miss other videos, please do subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to spending some more time with you